takes this plug out, it temporarily shuts power down to this plug. If you pull it out, you run the risk of arcing from one side to the other, and you backfeed your truck and you've got ghosts in your machine. You're messing with the computers. The other thing is if you keep pulling this thing out of here by hand, it's like dry firing a shotgun. Pretty soon it's not going to kick the plug out anymore. It needs that plug to push out to keep that spring in there good. If you keep pulling it out, it won't work.
So I shouldn't be pulling that plug prior to starting it?
Right.
Even
let it do its
with no power on?
Right. Let it do what it's supposed to do. Okay. Come on around here. All sorts of fun things in here. We've got this yellow tag on the side. Well, if it fails, pull it out.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about.
Well,
Most of ours have failed, so we pull them out.
It's been failing, yeah.
There is a tattletale. They should have provided you with an extra plug to build a cord, so that if you were to drive away and it did fail, you should detach at the plug, and then you're just running around with a small cord on you instead of all the cords you're staging. This yellow tag that's here tells you what the truck number is. You're going to call us. You're probably going to want to give us that number so we know what you're talking about. Otherwise, it's just a fire truck to us, you know. We need to know that number. And it's listed right up here in the corner, job number. Right there, 34, blah, blah, blah. Because I can't see. And then it's a Cummins engine. Tells you what you need for oil, capacity of oil in quarts. Probably 54 some quarts. Then you've got coolant. Then you've got power steering fluid. All of that is listed right there on that particular yellow tag to give you an idea of what you need to maintain the truck. So more for you than anybody else. Quick reference. There are tire pressures on here, front and rear. Go by the tire pressures that are on there, not what's written on the tire. Because Goodyear could be making this tire for a bus or a dump truck. Doesn't care. We build the frame rails. We know how much weight is distributed amongst this vehicle. So we're going to give you a better ride with that than what's written on the tire. Okay. Remember, when you start the truck up, battery switch first, ignition switch second. Wait for the gauges to go all the way over. Come all the way back. Okay. Now you're updated. Go ahead and start your truck up. When you're done, turn off the ignition switch, then turn off the battery switch. You could have went on a call last night at 2:30 in the morning, okay? You get on that call, you open that compartment, you pull the equipment out, whatever. You do your job. When you're done with the call, you throw your equipment back in there. Maybe somebody didn't stow something right? So you're backing this truck into the station. The person that didn't stow the gear right, he hops out. They open up the door. They're stowing that equipment. Meanwhile, you shut this truck off. You go to bed. Okay. Half an hour later, you get another call. You come out, you turn this on, you start the truck up. You get halfway down the road and you get an erroneous, hey, this door is open alarm. The reason you got that alarm was it did not get a chance to update itself. The gauges didn't go over or come back to update the computers, and the last thing it remembered was that door was open, because that's what it was when the last time it was running. Even though you had shut the door and packed everything up, it didn't get a chance to refresh itself. So if you ever go down the road and you get an erroneous door is open or something like that, it's probably because the computers didn't get a chance to update themselves. Okay? And if you're wondering why that happens, that's it. Okay. You have, down here, you have a regen, a DPF regen switch. All trucks after the year 2007 have regen systems on them. 2007 to 2010, they were very complicated. They required a lot of steps in order to regen. 2010, they made them easier, but they changed them. 2010 is when trucks came out, and it would decide that if it needed to regen, if you were pumping, it would go into regen. You won't know it. Okay? So your truck, if you're pumping and you're doing more than 700 RPM on the pump, which you probably are if you're pumping, this thing needs to clean itself out, it will regen. You won't know it. There's no light on the pump panel telling you it's regenning. There's no warning. Unless you're sitting in the cab, you won't know it. Okay? Well, that can be a problem because you could be in a grassy area, you could be next to bushes, you could be parked next to somebody's Corvette, put a nice wave in it. You could have your 5-inch hose draped across the exhaust over there and burn the outer layer of Nomex off of it. Your exhaust temperatures will reach 989 degrees for a sustained 12 minutes while it's regenerating. That's why your exhaust does not bend down to the ground anymore, because it melts a hole in asphalt. It'll burn a traffic cone, melt it to the ground 4 feet away from it. Okay? What happens when it does a regen is it takes and it shoots fuel into that big canister underneath your truck. This is a diesel engine. It still produces black smoke like any other truck would do. Okay? You just don't see it anymore. And as that canister fills up, okay, you get a series of lights on your dashboard. And it just so happens the light you're looking for looks like a fart cloud, okay? Because it's got a little poofy thing, right? So if you're riding down the road and you see the fart cloud light come on, it needs to be cleaned out. You have 2 choices. You could take it for a ride on the interstate, get it up to speed, sustained, okay? And then it'll clean itself out as you're going, as long as you're doing over 5 miles an hour. If you stop below 5 miles an hour, it stops cleaning itself out, because we don't want you to burn the guy off the motorcycle alongside you. Okay. If you pull it out of your station and park it here on the apron, you can hold this DPF regen switch for 5 seconds, provided you have the fart cloud on. It needs to see the fart cloud. Okay? When that's on, you hold that switch for 5 seconds, it'll take the RPM from 700 RPM up to 10.5. It's going to hold it there until it cleans itself out. It's usually about 12 minutes. If you have to go on a call while it's cleaning itself out, just release the brake and go. Once you're moving over 5 miles an hour, it will continue to clean itself out. If you stop below 5 miles an hour, it's going to stop cleaning itself out. Okay? So those are the 2 ways you clean it, if it needs to be cleaned. But if you're on a call and you're in a grassy area, or you're in an area where maybe a fuel truck tipped over, or it's highly volatile, you probably don't want this thing going into regen on its own. That makes sense. This thing sucks in 1,200 cubic feet of air per minute. It's a big vacuum cleaner. It will burn whatever it sucks in. Okay, in that environment, try to point it upwind, try not to shut your engine off. Okay, because it will burn whatever it can. If I was going to be outside pumping and I knew that it was highly volatile, or I could light the ground on fire or whatever, I would come down and I would hit this regen inhibit switch right here. That will prevent it from going into regen while I'm outside of the truck and pumping on it. When I am done with my call and I'm done pumping, I have to physically turn this switch back off. Or I have to totally power down the truck and then power it back on. That's the only way I can reset that system. Simply releasing the brake will not turn that system back off. Okay? So you either have to physically turn it off or power the truck down. Okay?
How long do you have to press and hold that inhibit?
5 seconds. And then we'll go, yep, yes sir.
If you're on scene medical call, we're not pumping, we're not using the aerial, and you have it in high idle, can it automatically kick in?
Yep. Anything over 700 RPM, it can say, okay, I need to clean myself out. Yep.
And do you suggest that when it is sitting on the scene, it should be in high idle?
Yes. Trucks can be programmed now, this one can be, to automatically high idle after 5 minutes. The reason you want them to high idle is because this is a diesel engine, like I said. It uses its oil to lubricate all its parts. And when it's done using the oil, it sends out its exhaust. That's why diesel trucks produce black smoke. Well, this big canister captures all that soot now. You don't see it. So if you high idle the engine, you're going to burn off that excess oil before it gets to that canister. And you'll do less regens. Okay? It's better for the engine.
But this one's not automatic.
I don't know how yours is programmed. It could be.
I don't know.
Could not be. It can be programmed for it.
Yeah, I know some of them will kick on. I just didn't know if this one, like ours, if that's a feature of the
I don't know for sure. I'd have to look at your specs in order to.
Let it idle for 5 minutes.
Well, that would tell us.
There you go. That'll do it.
Yep. It may not.
I don't think any of our trucks high idle automatically, right?
Well, the limiter's only up well once it gets
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
without just sitting here.
Yeah. Low manager will make it high out when the battery gets low, yeah. This is your backup speaker. You have a volume knob right here. You can hear what's behind you when you're backing the truck up, and you can see with the camera back there. They cannot hear you. Okay? So if they're swearing at you, aim for them. They can't hear you, so. Alright. Just know that. This emergency switch right here is the same as the emergency master switch above. Turn this on, and your lights come on. Provided you left all the switches on. If you turn them off, it's going to manually turn off everything. And it will not activate them the next time you turn it on. They'll skip over them. So, if you're riding down the road and nobody's pulling over, you may want to look up to make sure somebody didn't physically turn all those off. Okay. Next to that is your headlight switch, your DOT running lights. Okay. Not that I don't like the music, I just want to compete with it. Okay, this is your DOT headlights, your running lights. That's where that is. This is your panel dimmer switch, so we could charge 10,000 more for the truck. Your high idle switch is over here. It will not let you high idle the truck if the pump is in or if the brake is released. They will automatically go away. Okay, because the pump wants to govern how fast the truck is turning. And with your brakes released, we don't want it idling up on its own and going faster than it needs to. So.
Steve, he'll turn that radio off if you give him power real quick. So you don't have to fight it.
That's all right. I didn't mind.
Should be good.
All right, thank you. All right, on your dashboard, you'll notice there is a DEF gauge on there now. That is diesel exhaust fluid. Diesel exhaust fluid is a clear, odorless liquid that you probably don't want to taste. It's a nitrate, okay? It turns to salt if you leave it exposed to air. So if you were to pour it on the ground, it would turn into salt. This gauge that's on there, I would leave it about 3/4 full. I wouldn't fill it all the way up, especially if the truck is running. Because when you shut your truck off, all of our trucks that have DEF, there's a heater in that tank. That tank is 4.5 gallons. When you shut the truck off, this truck automatically tries to blow the lines from here back to the tank. If that tank is full, it's got nowhere to put it. Okay? So it tries, and then it burps it over the side of the truck. And then what you get is this white crud that's all over the side of your truck. Okay? If you leave that about 3/4 full, then it's got a place to put the stuff that's in the lines. So if you've ever seen that before, that's why that's happening. It's because it's got nowhere to put the stuff that's in the lines. Okay. There's a handle back here. The handle that's back here is to tilt the cab up. Should your cab tilt not work, there's a petcock on the bottom of the pump down there. You turn it like a floor jack, and it's about 3,000 strokes per inch to get this thing up. It's pretty heavy. Yeah, you know. That was weigh a ton. Okay, up here. Remember, this yellow brake is only your rear brakes. Okay. So you would engage your yellow brake. Then you would need to hit your aerial master. And I'm looking for it. Yours is right there. Okay. In the center. And then aerial PTO. That's all that's required. There is a front wheel lock. You may want to leave that on all the time. Every time you engage this yellow brake, the front wheel lock will come back on. This screen is a touch screen. Okay, there are things in there, aerial screens included, so that you know the grade and slope of the truck before you get out of the truck. Okay, so that'll help you when you set it up. We have a camera menu. Your camera menu will give you a backup camera. There's your backup camera. It'll give you stabilizer left side, stabilizer right side camera. You can turn those on as you're going down the street. You just have to hit that screen, hit the camera button. You can turn on anything you want to. Okay? So if there's somebody behind you, you want to see what's going on, you can do that. I would probably go to a computer store and I would buy those screen protectors for like tablets. And I would probably cut a couple of them, one to fit over here, one to fit over the one up there. Because if you take your glove and you wipe that screen, you're probably going to put a scratch in it. And if you scratch those screens, you can't see through them in the sun. They're $2,500 a piece. So I don't know why they don't come with them. They should.
They want to sell some more screens.
I think, right? Yeah, I agree. They should. Maybe I'm in the wrong business. I should be selling stuff like that. So that's what you have there. Other things that are on there are diagnostics, prognosis. In the diagnostics screen, you get live data. If you ever have a problem, we're probably going to ask you to look at the live data. It'll give us an idea what the rotation angles are, the counts. That way we can tell if everything's working right. For you to get into the truck to do things, instead of having a laptop, you can log into this truck. There's a password, and I'll tell you what it is when everybody's gone. You can go in and you can activate any of these switches through their modules just by logging in and touching that. That tells you whether the switch is bad or not. Okay, you're just going through the programming. So, and it will tell you the wire color. It will tell you the wire number, what it is. It'll tell you how much voltage is on that wire. It gives you a lot of things to look at where they didn't before. Along with this screen is its prognostics. Used to be in the old days, you would have a PM list where you would have to do PMs, required maintenance, preventive maintenance they called it. It would be a schedule. Now the truck tells you when something needs to be done. It says, okay, I'm due for this or I'm due for that. It keeps a running total of what's happening to it now instead of you having to do that. You'll probably get sick of that because it's going to bring up stuff that all the time. Okay, that can be turned off. Just so you know. Push button transmission. It's an Allison transmission. Okay, it requires voltage to stay in gear. If you lose an alternator on this truck and you're going down the road, your lights are getting dim. Okay? If you engage your generator at a low RPM, and if it's a hot shift generator, is yours a hot shift, you know? Oh, let's find out right now. We're gonna find out. Okay, truck starting. Hot shift would have meant that you could have turned on your generator as you go down the road. You don't need that anymore because all of the floodlighting is not through the generator anymore. It's all very small voltages, milliamps. So you could turn on your floodlighting without the generator running. Okay. If it had been a hot shift PTO, it would have acted as an alternator to get you back to where you needed to be, because at 10.5 volts or less, your transmission shifts to neutral, leaves you on the side of the road. So it needs electricity to run. Okay. All right. So this screen has got a lot of stuff in it. Most of it's for the mechanic. It will tell you who's wearing their seatbelt, who's not wearing their seatbelt. It does record how the truck's being driven. There's a tattletale in this truck, and it records every second up to 300 hours, and then it starts over. So it knows how fast it's taken off from stop signs. It knows its speeds in the corners. It knows its braking distances. It knows how it's being driven. Did it stop for a stop sign? Did it not stop for a stop sign? It knows all that. It knows if you left the Jake brake on or turned it off if it was wet or slippery. Okay? So if you roll the truck out and it's wet outside and you try to tell them you didn't have the Jake brake on, it's going to tell if you did or didn't. All right? It's a DOT law to turn the Jake brake off if it's wet or slippery because your truck is pulsing with its anti-lock brakes trying to keep you in a straight line. Now you hit the magic number where it's set to 39, 38, somewhere in there. It takes the exhaust gases coming off the manifold and it reroutes it and it stops the pistons from going up and down. When the pistons stop going up and down, the drive shaft quits turning. Drive shaft quits turning, the wheels will break free from the pavement, causing you to fishtail the truck down the road. Could possibly cause you to roll the truck. So that's why it's important you turn off a Jake brake when it's wet or slippery. Now it will tell on you. Okay? So make sure you do that. Here is your Jake brake. On and off right here. Okay? We want to turn that off if it's wet or slippery. Here's your settings, low, medium, and high. Because you deal with all of us Wisconsin people coming down here, you probably want to leave it on high. Because you need to stop in a hurry. Okay? Off-road traction is not what it sounds like. It's not a four-wheel drive for you to go bohing around.
The wheels lock, right?
All it does is allow you to spin your tires. Remember the old 2009 they came out with cars that had that car symbol and the little squiggly lines underneath it? Okay, when you pulled up to an intersection, if you mashed on the accelerator, it would transfer from the spinning wheel to the non-spinning wheel to supposedly get you across the intersection faster. Well, by holding that button in, you defeat that system and it allows you to spin your wheel. Okay? That's all it does. Alrighty. Front wheel lock, we talked about that. Stationary, okay to pump light. Or okay to pump on rolling. If you want to turn your pump on, you just hold that switch. It lights up, now the clutch will engage and the pump is turning. I do not need to be in drive to pump. If I am in drive, I can pump up to 25 miles an hour. So, you have options. Okay? Alright. Next to that, you have a pump pressure gauge. Right now it's reading E1, okay, which is our failure code. That means that there's no pressure in it, but the truck's not running. You will see residual pressure in there. You will see that it will build up its own pressure due to the sloshing around of water that's in your tank. You may get 12 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds of pressure in there until you open up a valve on your pump panel and get the pressure out. It's not uncommon. Next to that, you have a sight glass to tell you how much water is in your tank. Because if you are pumping and rolling, you want to know when you're out of water, right? Okay. Top row of switches here. Aerial Master, Aerial PTO. Aerial Master is the electronic side to your stabilizers and your ladder. You need to turn that on to get the little switches to work. Aerial PTO gives you the fluid to do the work. If one should fail, each has their own backup on it. That's why there's two switches. It does not care what you turn on first. There's no sequencing anymore. If they are on and you release the brake, they will go away to protect the truck. Okay, so you don't really have to remember to turn off your PTO, just release the brake, it will shut off. All right? It is a good practice to turn them off. Stabilizer cameras, that's your cameras for your stabilizers. Generator PTO, we discussed that a little bit. This turns on your generator. Handrail lights or rung lights. That's what you have here. So if you want them on, you can turn them on as you're going on the road. Perimeter lights, that's the side lights on your truck. Load manager. Hi, Chief. Load manager just protects. Load manager just protects the DC wiring from burning up. So you don't want your DC wiring burning up. What it does is if you walked away from your truck and you heard the idle come up, that's your load manager keeping your battery charged. If you were to ride down the road, hit a rock and smash a wire in the frame rail, say it's the wire that runs this light up here. That's an NFPA wire. That was an 18 gauge wire at one point. Now it hit a rock. Now it's a 22 gauge wire in a spot. It's thinner. So as the current's going through that wire, it's getting hot in that spot because it's like an hourglass. You smashed it. Okay? What the load manager will do is it'll sense that's heating up and it will turn things off around it to keep that wire cool enough to run. When you no longer need that system and you turn that off, it will bring those things back up online. That's what your load manager does for you, okay?
The load manager always on when you turn on the truck?
It is. The reason there's a switch in here at all is so we can troubleshoot things by turning them on and off. Otherwise, you wouldn't even see the switch anymore. Okay? But we need it in here to troubleshoot. So that's why it's in here. When you release the brake, the light will go away, but it's still on under a different system. So, okay? That's your load manager. Then your heating and cooling is in the center up here. You do have an emergency master switch up here. All right. Remember I said if you turn these off, the next time I turn this on, it will skip over what I turned off. It remembers what you did last. So make sure that these are on. This is red because the power is getting low, the battery is getting low, so it's automatically turning to a red color, telling me that, hey, I gotta start something up real soon. This one's flashing because it is a brake interlocked light. I need to release my brake for my high beam flash to come on. They don't want those on when you're at a scene because people have a tendency to drive into the white light. It would be bad.
So if any of them are blinking red like that, does that mean something?
Yeah, it means something. Either they're brake interlocked or they're low on power. So it's either one or the other.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was wondering. Was like our squad lights. I
Yep.
thought they came up all red.
They do. Only 71 of us.
Okay, so if they're not,
So if it's an older truck like a CZ1 or a CZ2, ones were red initially, then they
Yeah,
went to an amber,
that one is.
now they went to green. So that's how we designate what form of CZ it is too, because of the lighting that's up here. Okay. These are all your lights. Driver's side high visibility, passenger side high visibility, driver's side crew cab scene light, passenger cab scene light, rear scene. Those are all controlled. See how they're flashing red? Because I'm running out of power. But those are all non-generator controlled lighting. You don't need a generator anymore. All right. Here's your electronic sirens and horns. Over there, you have your traffic advisor or your directional arrow stick in the back. And you have your early warning weather detector, your radio. You know what you got there. Then you have the lights in the center to tell you if something is not right when you're driving down the road. Usually stabilizer store or compartment door open. This will actually tell you which compartment door it is, not left side, right side, or back side. It'll say P1, P2, P3. It'll tell you which compartment it is. Okay. Any questions about the cab?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
I noticed when I was up there the other day, one of those lights is red and one is blue. Can you tell me exactly what that was again? I had forgotten.
Red light's the doors, and the blue light is the aerial stabilizer.
Okay.
Thank you, because
Thank you.
I did not know that.
I wasn't sure. That's what it was.
I
Okay.
did not know that. That's good.
We did that.
I guess he can.
He was there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Because I would probably want that tomorrow.
I'll be here all day.
Yeah. Back tomorrow. Okay. All right. Your mirror controls are right here. Left and right mirror controls. And then you've got the convex mirrors on the bottom. Very hard mirrors to see out of if you're not used to this type of mirror. They are difficult at best. But you must like them. Because that's why you got them.
Once you get used to them, they're nice.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I've never driven them like that, so yeah, these guys are used to them.
Yeah.
I would have a hard time in the beginning.
I would.
Yeah.
Me too. Okay. So we are done in here.